Yeah, this is gonna be the reality for the next few months. Rain, rain. It might be weeks of almost constant rain. Oh, Stephen G. Hey there, good evening. The monsoon has officially started, so it's become a bit tricky to find the right time to make a video because the rain has been almost constant, and it's gonna be like that for the next few weeks / months. So let's see. Yeah, I rewatched the last video that I released, and I thought, it's funny that I mentioned learning, accompanying children in education. Yeah, even for a person like me, this thing of education and learning seems to be very much linked. And yeah, I thought I'd just speak a little bit about what came to mind after rewatching it, because this thing about learning, I mean, it happens right from the very beginning, right? A child is born, and wow, then they really start learning. Like, it's just learning from morning till evening. It's non-stop. And this actually never ends. It never stops. We might be, as from an adult perspective, it might not be obvious, but it is happening all the time. And I find it funny that we adults, on the one hand, we admit that a child can learn a language, let's say, in a very short period of time. Even still a teenager, right? If you put a teenager in, well, in full immersion, so to say, let's say in a school in a foreign country, it won't take long and the child will speak that language. And most adults that have come to me over the years, since I teach languages, amongst other things, they will say, well, I'm too old actually to learn a language efficiently. It won't really happen. Children can do that. Yeah, so on the one hand, we admit that children are really good at learning. But then on the other hand, we put them in schools or also at home, mom and dad. They say, now you listen to me, now you need to learn, and I'm going to teach you. I know and you don't know. It's a bit of a contradiction, don't you find? The way I experienced it is I perceive it as an absolute opportunity and a blessing to be able to observe a human being that had come into this world, namely my daughter, and to just learn from observing her. Not that she was teaching me actively, but I got a chance to observe her, and since she had, well, not really been conditioned either, well, it depends on, right? Depends on what your beliefs are, as regarding incarnations and what all happens during pregnancy, for example. But let's say from day zero or day one, there definitely is conditioning happening. And to just observe how this shapes that kid. For me, since we left Germany when our daughter was 10 months old, I got to witness a kid that got conditioned completely differently. And I think for me that really raised the question, what are we really as human beings? Like, what are we essentially? What are we before we get conditioned? And yeah, and also the way children learn, this openness, this total effortless presence somehow, and soaking in it all up, being keenly observant but totally relaxed at the same time. I found that absolutely fascinating. And I felt The child cannot come into the adult's world. But we, if we're calm enough and humble enough and playful and curious enough, to some extent we can enter the child's world. And if we do so, then we can learn a lot. Oh, power cut. Yeah, we can learn so much. Because from a child's perspective, at least from what I saw, there's so many things that don't really make sense. Why do I have to brush my teeth all the time? No? For a small kid, I mean, what's the point? Why have to shower all the time? Yeah? But if we can turn these things into a game, and I leave you with one little thing that one day came to me, and that was the toothbrush suddenly became alive, okay, and it was naughty. So now instead of somehow getting the job done in 1 or 2 minutes, this toothbrush would just do all kinds of nonsense, right? So brushing my daughter's teeth, it would suddenly go from the mouth into the nose, into the ear, right? And then somehow would just take off, right? And since I was holding the toothbrush, it would take me along, yeah, flying through the entire house. Yeah, we had so much fun playing that twice a day. And I think, I mean, children, they just love rituals, right? And they want the same thing over and over again. And that is, yeah, for me, that was really an invitation to, why not play the same thing over and over again as if it were the first time? Why not? Yeah. So maybe this is learning. Yeah, I'm looking at learning from a totally different perspective, because I guess what you associate with learning is a much more formal thing. I've seen most Germans, they understand learning as something that is, yeah, whether there's a compulsion, they have to. Yeah. And that's really, it's really a shame, I find. These two words, learning and working, they seem to have, yeah, really negative associations and connotation. Yeah, so for me, exploring that, dropping into this, what can I learn, right, from that kid, that became a really, really fascinating journey. And yeah, this is today's take on learning. Yeah, I'm gonna share a little more about maybe our background, how I, yeah, even started teaching, because I think these experiences for me were very, very crucial, because they were the foundation of, yeah, of everything else that were to come then. This much for today. Let's see when the power comes back. I wish you a good night.